Hello and welcome. I'm Ed, and I'm here with my wife, Mary.
Hello, we're excited you're joining us today. As you might already know, we're Branch Davidian Seventh-day Adventists.
That's right, and we present or expound on a principle or belief related to the SDA Sabbath School Quarterly each week. This quarter's lesson is entitled In the Crucible with Christ. This week's lesson is entitled Meekness in the Crucible. Of course, we know from Christ's Sermon on the Mount that the meek will inherit the earth. Ellen White in Testimonies for the Church, Volume 2, page 631, defines the meek as, quote, those who are gentle and forgiving, who, when reviled, will not revile again, but who manifest a teachable spirit and do not hold themselves in high esteem, close quote.
Today we wanted to focus on the teachable aspect of meekness. This is really important because Jesus himself warned us that we SDAs are, well, not very meek. Ellen White wrote, quote, it is a fact that we have the truth, and we must hold with tenacity to the positions that cannot be shaken, but we must not look with suspicion upon any new light which God may send and say, really, we cannot see that we need any more light than the old truth which we have hitherto received, and in which we are settled. While we hold to this position, the testimony of the true witness applies to our case as its rebuke. And knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. Revelation 3:17. Those who feel rich and increase with goods and in need of nothing are in a condition of blindness as to their true condition before God, and they know it not. Close quote, Ellen White, The Review and Herald, August 7th, 1894.
So there are some positions we have that cannot be shaken, but this does not mean that we are not to receive any new light from God. In order to increase in knowledge, to learn new things, to receive new light, of course we need to be teachable. But it is difficult to be teachable if we think we have need of nothing. If, quote, we cannot see that we need any more light than the old truth which we have hitherto received and in which we are settled, close quote, and that is the Laodiceans' big problem.
Interestingly, the SDA people were not always in the Laodicean condition. But unfortunately, very early in our history, in 1852, Ellen wrote, quote, as I have of late looked around to find the humble followers of the meek and lowly Jesus, my mind has been much exercised. Many who profess to be looking for the speedy coming of Christ are becoming conformed to this world and seek more earnestly the applause of those around them than the approbation of God. They are cold and formal, like the nominal church, that they but a short time since separated from. The words addressed to the Laodicean church describe their present condition perfectly. See Revelation 3:14-20. They are neither cold nor hot, but lukewarm. And unless they heed the counsel of the faithful and true witness, and zealously repent, and obtain gold tried in the fire, white raiment, and eye salve, he will spew them out of his mouth. Close quote, Ellen White, Review and Herald, June 10th, 1852, paragraphs 1 and 2. Here, as early as 1852, some were already drifting into a Laodicean condition. Why? Well, as Ellen said, few were humbly following in the footsteps of the meek and lowly Jesus. They were becoming like the world and sought approval from the world rather than from God.
The church preceding Laodicea is the faithful church typified by the church in Philadelphia at the time Revelation was written. The Philadelphian church is the only church of the seven in Revelation 2 and 3 that receives no rebuke, only commendation from Jesus. Laodicea, on the other hand, receives no commendation, but only rebuke. As a matter of fact, Laodicea is the only church of the seven that receives no commendation from Jesus at all. Many take heart in the fact that the Laodicean church is the last church listed, and therefore feel secure because what other church is there?
And while it is true there is no other church, there are nuances to that truth that bear noticing. The warning words of the true witness is that those who are not teachable, not meek, but lukewarm, will be spewed out of the church of Laodicea. In other words, Laodicea will be purified. Jesus said, so then, because you are lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will vomit you out of my mouth. Because you say, I am rich, have become wealthy, and have need of nothing, and do not know that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Therefore, be zealous and repent. Close quote, Revelation 3:16-18 and 19.
In a recent study, we talked about the truth about correction and chastening. that correction and chastening are good and necessary. To be justified is to be made right or corrected, chastened. This requires a teachable spirit, a meek and humble spirit. To think that we are rich and in need of nothing is just the opposite of having a meek and humble spirit. If one thinks they are in need of nothing, how can they be corrected or taught? So, what caused and continues to cause the Laodicean condition?
We can summarize it in two factors. The first is losing a love for the truth. Most STAs back in the early days stood firmly for the theory of the truth, but more and more people failed to prize the truth above all else, and this opened the door to compromise. Second, many failed, and still fail, to maintain a sense of personal responsibility to do with the truth what God requires, that is, to live it fully and to let it shine from the hilltop. Without a serious sense of personal responsibility, people take comfort in simply being part of a movement that has the truth, even if they haven't thoroughly studied it themselves and aren't able to explain it to others. Those who shun personal responsibility fail to co-labor with Christ and manifest that they have no burden to save souls.
When we lose these two things, a love for the truth above all else and a sense of personal responsibility, we sink into a Laodicean condition. As Laodiceanism spread through SDA ranks, many acted as though they were just along for the ride and felt free to maintain behaviors and ideas that were contrary to Christ. If they received no personal rebuke through the spirit of prophecy, they took it a license to maintain their course. And even many who received personal correction refused to be corrected and instead cast blame on Ellen White or on others. If every SDA were to value truth above all else, they would receive every correction. In fact, they would seek out correction, taking every piece of counsel and reproof from the true witness and applying it to their own case.
Correction came to the SDAs through personal testimonies written to individuals and published for the rest of the members in the church to read so that everyone else could learn from them and apply the correction to themselves as though it was written just for them. Ellen White actually explained this in Testimonies for the Church, Volume 2, page 112. By closely examining our own condition, rather than just thinking of inspired corrections as only applying to someone else, we can correct our mistakes and come into line with the way of Christ.
If we are to take up our personal responsibility today, we need to read and study the testimonies in order to know what is the right way and then walk in it. This would have kept the SDAs in the early years in the faith, and the work would have been finished long ago. The solution to Laodiceanism is in how we as individuals orient ourselves to truth. We have to love truth, and we have to take the personal responsibility of learning the truth, living the truth, and advancing the cause of truth in every respect.
Ellen wrote, quote, "As the end draws near and the work of giving the last warning to the world extends, it becomes more important for those who accept present truth to have a clear understanding of the nature and influence of the testimonies which God in His providence has linked with the work of the third angel's message from its very rise." Close quote, Ellen White, Testimonies for the Church, Volume 5, page 654.
So the purpose of the testimonies is to correct us, to chasten us, to teach us where we are wrong and how to be made right. We must be meek and teachable. Testimonies of reproof and correction through the spirit of prophecy have been linked to the work of the third angel's message from its very rise, and they still are today. Ellen wrote, quote, "God is leading a people out from the world upon the exalted platform of eternal truth, the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. If hearts are teachable, there will be no divisions among us. Some are inclined to be disorderly and are drifting away from the great landmarks of the faith, but God is moving upon His ministers to be one in doctrine and in spirit. It is necessary that our unity today be of a character that will bear the test of trial. We have many lessons to learn and many, many to unlearn. God and heaven alone are infallible. Those who think that they will never have to give up a cherished view, never have occasion to change an opinion, will be disappointed. As long as we hold to our own ideas and opinions with determined persistency, we cannot have the unity for which Christ prayed." Close quote, Ellen White, Christian Experience and Teachings, page 201 through 203.
So here we have Ellen saying that there is an unmovable platform of truth, the landmarks of our faith, but that we are moving away from them. We must correct this. We must be teachable. We must be willing to learn new things, which requires us to unlearn many, many things.
Ellen warned, quote, "We must not think, well, we have all the truth. We understand the main pillars of our faith, and we may rest on this knowledge. The truth is an advancing truth, and we must walk in the increasing light." Close quote, Ellen White, Evangelism, page 296. In closing, we want to draw your attention to an often missed lesson from the parable of the 10 virgins found in Matthew 25, 1 through 13. In the parable, there are 2 classes of virgins. 5 are foolish, 5 are wise. The wise ones have extra oil with them. The extra oil represents truth not yet shining. So someone who is a wise virgin always remembers that they need more truth yet to be lighting their path, that there is oil, or truth, that they will need to put in their lamp in the future. They are never sitting by and saying, "Oh, I have all the truth I need right here in my lamp that is lighting my path right now." The truth is, the oil that is currently fueling your lamp isn't all the oil you need. You need extra oil. You need more truth that is going to light your path in the future when the oil in your lamp for today runs out.
Ellen wrote, quote, "The truth of God is progressive. It is always onward, going from strength to a greater strength, from light to a greater light. We have every reason to believe that the Lord will send us increased truth, for a great work is yet to be done. In our knowledge of truth, there is first a beginning in our understanding of it, then a progression, then completion. First the blade, then the ear, and after that the full corn in the ear. Much has been lost because our ministers and people have concluded that we have had all the truth essential for us as a people. But such a conclusion is erroneous and in harmony with the deceptions of Satan. For truth will be constantly unfolding." Close quote. Ellen White, Signs of the Times, May 26, 1890, paragraph 2. So here we see that we should expect more light, more messages from God, for a great work is still yet to be done, not only in our own hearts, but in the world. Of course, we believe that new light has come from God since Ellen's death. We invite you to investigate this for yourself. Please see our study, What is the Spirit of Prophecy? SDA edition by Trent Wilde, linked in the description.
Thank you for staying with us till the end. We invite you to visit our website, www.bdsda.com, to learn more about who we are and, just as important, who we are not. Please join us each week as we will continue to offer new and interesting insights for your Sabbath School studies.
And if you want to keep up with our new studies as they're published, we recommend subscribing. We're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on plenty of other podcast apps. Links for subscribing are in the description.
God bless.
Many blessings.